Hello, everybody. Just give me a second. I got to check on Facebook to make sure that this video is broadcasting live because sometimes Facebook just be on something else. And you will have my full attention. And we put this public and we are good to go. All right, we Gucci. All right, everybody, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for your patience. We were supposed to be here yesterday, but we made it today. We still made it. I am Lachey Taylor, your host of the Betterism podcast. I appreciate you. Thank you for popping in, whether you're watching live or on the replay. So I have a very, very special guest. I'd say a longtime friend. We just reconnected and I learned about his health journey. He has a remarkable transformation story where he has reversed some really serious health issues that you would otherwise be told are irreversible. He managed to reverse them on a plant-based diet. And we're going to get into that. I'm going to bring him on right now. His name is Darrell Thompson. All right. There he goes. Let me unmute your microphone. Hi, Darrell. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
Thank you for popping on. I'm really excited to share you with my audience. Like I was saying, backstage, you're a fresh face, right?
Yeah.
The health community, at least a part of the health community that I'm on online, I've been a part of it for a couple of years. And there's a lot of really cool people, remarkable people who have done really great things for themselves and they're helping a lot of people. But you're a fresh face. I've never seen anyone really have you on their platform. And I feel honored to be able to kind of roll out the red carpet for you. So how are things going? And if you want, introduce yourself to the audience.
So yeah, hello audience, hello world, hello Lachey. My name's Darrell Thompson. A little bit about me: born and raised up in the East Coast, Pennsylvania. I'm a Southerner now, but I went almost exactly 3 years ago. I went through a serious health situation. Me being a man, I was always thirsty, and I thought it was just like a bladder infection. I thought the smallest thing. Long story short, I'm going to give you the condensed version. I was diabetic ketoacidosis, which is a very serious diagnosis and a situation to be in, diabetic crisis. And transparent, I took a lot of damage from that, so I am on medication now, for the rest of my life. But through a plant-based diet, it allows me to suppress a lot of the, complications from, having a compromised pancreas and things like that. I'm going to try and give you the best version I can. There's so much to it, but long story short, yeah. So yeah, I was in bad shape, really bad shape. And if you go back 100 years ago and you were literally 100 or just about 100 years ago, and you were diagnosed with what I was diagnosed with, there was nothing they could do for you, right? So what they would do is, and you can look this up online, what they would do is they would just wheel you off to a diabetic ward, I believe is what they call it, and just wait for you to pass on. So I'm blessed to be here, through modern medicine as well as ancient medicine, which is food, right, and nutrition. I'm blessed to be here and in good standing health at 38 years old. So long story short, I'll give you what led me down this path of consuming a whole food plant-based diet. I kind of mix a few diets: a whole food plant-based diet, a starch-based diet, and a lot of fruits and berries. I receive a lot of benefits from eating, a lot of berries and high raw, So, well, did you have any questions? Was I flowing?
So you, when we had spoke before, you said that you ended up in the emergency room
Oh,
for
yeah.
a for a diabetic health crisis.
Yeah.
Now, how old were you at that time? And kind of like, what were the circumstances of that? Like, did you have any symptoms that you were kind of like ignoring or normalizing leading up to that point? Or like, was that just out of nowhere? Or was it something that you were experiencing, but not necessarily listening to your body? And then it got to a crisis point to where you ended up in the emergency room. Like, so what was that moment like?
So you made a good point. I like that. I wasn't listening to my body, and I think that's what a lot of us do. The body is so intelligent, and I've learned this now. The body is so intelligent; it does not want to be in pain. When it's in pain, it's knocking at the door, letting you know, right? So I ignored those signs. I did not know this vessel was intelligent, and I'm speaking some serious stuff. No mojo. This is real deal. So what I went through, I would eat certain things, and I would feel like throbbing pains. I was frequent urination, constant thirst. I mean, so of course, sugars through the roof, hypercholesterolemia, which is extremely high cholesterol, high triglycerides, hypertension. I forget what level, very high. I got stories to all of this, but I can only give you maybe on the episode 2, we'll give you further details, but for the sake of time, even my sexual health was really unhealthy. For lack of a better way to say it, even having, I'm transparent, having an orgasm with having chest pain, so I was in bad shape. Yeah, bad shape. I'm blessed to be here, and I don't think it was for no reason. I think I had to go through that. So, to better myself and to help other people, somebody's got to do it. But, yeah.
So how was your lifestyle? Like, what were your lifestyle choices? Like, how were you eating? Were you drinking? How was your sleep? Like, what leads a person to that level of health at such a young age?
Yeah, so I was never been a big drinker, never been a big, intoxicant, drugs or anything or alcohol, smoking, nothing like that. But food was my drug, right? And that's real. Food was my drug. Not just food, unhealthy food or food products, right?
Yeah, food-like products, and that is
Exactly.
literally the most addictive stimulant in the world is the standard American diet. It's like the most dangerous and the most addictive because it's so socially acceptable. So, when we're consuming that stuff, we don't necessarily feel like we're doing anything wrong because everybody else is doing it. But then it's like, no matter what it is that we have conditioned our bodies to accept and what our minds want us to put our bodies through,
Yeah.
the body is so intelligent that the body's going to say, like, and then we end up in these situations where we're in the hospital. Like, what was your favorite things to eat?
Oh, so this was so before I came back up to where I live now, I was working down in the oil field, right? So I was constantly on the go. So anything fast food, right? My time was limited, they keep you rolling. So, anything greasy, burgers, right? Fried fish, you know, the greasier, the more comforting, the better. And, didn't know any better. I was addicted. I mean, being raised on, Southern diet, family come from Southern roots, that's what that's what makes you feel good, you know. And so that's all I knew. And not only that, but very importantly, you know, early in life, uh, our taste buds are hijacked. We get caught up in the pleasure trap, and so I was certainly caught up in that pleasure trap, and that's what led to my body being just clogged and just assaulted. After all those years of not having any fruits, vegetables, maybe a side of fruit, maybe a sliver of strawberry on top of the cake,
Right. Yeah.
you
That's
know.
how most people eat their fruit. Like, fruit is an ornament or
Yeah,
decoration or maybe a little quick snack before you have this big, greasy meal. That's how most people tend to see fruit as, it's just something that, and it's funny how we've been conditioned to think that even just having like a single orange with pancakes and with the bacon and all of that is you somehow adding like a healthy balance into your
Right.
everyday meals. So, I mean, I completely get it. What was I going to ask you? So, you had stated that you actually started to more seriously look at the plant-based lifestyle to help aid you in your health journey from your medical practitioner, which is like not normal. So that's dope. Tell me more, tell us more about that.
So, if being that you say that, it's obvious, those words that he said were meant for me, right? Almost not almost, but obviously in a divine way, not to veer off into that, but we just have to acknowledge just how things work, right? Um,
What were those words?
so those words, so what led into those words? I mean, I was a 35-year-old man, and I'm up there in the, actually, I was supposed to be in the ICU, this procedure that they have to do on you to get your body back in balance, because you got acid flowing through your blood. And I'm going to give you the answer, but I just want to kind of tell the story so people can be in that hospital bed with me, right? So they can know this is the real deal. So, the doctors, with sad eyes, the nurses with sad eyes, I'm up there with older people and younger people up there too as well. But, they just see this young man with potential, you know, for still he deserves a longer life, right? So, let's fast forward to before my doctor discharged me, right? There were two doctors. The first doctor, Dr. Guerrera, I believe it is his name, Dr. Guerrera. He sat and asked me, hey, before discharging me, he said, "Do you have Netflix?" I was like, "Yeah, I got Netflix, And he said, "Well, on Netflix, when you get out, when you discharge, go on Netflix and watch a documentary called Game Changers." I had no idea what that was, but I had it in my notes. Okay, because I'm determined, right? So before I continue on, not to go off on a tangent, but you know, my diagnosis was grim in the future. After having that diagnosis, is very grim, right? And this picture right here kind of represents me. When I face adversity, right? I happen to be a Taurus, right?
Same.
And I live in Texas. Same.
Yeah.
Oh wow, we haven't even butted heads. But I like to sit and eat my grass or enjoy my food and things like that. But if obstacles come in the way, that's when I bring the horns out and you know destroy all obstacles. So I just wanted to say that. So that was I just knew I was going to overcome it, right, at some level, right. And I asked my doctors, "Hey, is it reversible?" They couldn't really give me an answer because I was in really bad shape, but they just went along with it. Right. So that was the first doctor, Dr. Guerrero, to watch Game Changers on Netflix. Right. Next doctor, uh, this is more before discharging as well. Dr. Patel. This is just this was at the VA in Temple, Texas. Right. He asked me before I discharged you, "Do you have any questions?" So I said, "Hey, doc, can I drink coffee after, once I get home?" "Yeah, you can drink coffee, this and that." His final statements, his final words to me were, "You want to start seafood as medicine," right? This is no naturopath. This is a medical doctor, right? You want to start the seafood as medicine. Those words forever changed me. Because they left me with pamphlets. The nurses left me with pamphlets about how much protein to eat and this and that, and the protein chase, the protein myth. But there was something about those words that stood with me because I obviously I didn't see food as medicine before. I've heard of it and things like that. Like I said, a strawberry was a sliver on a piece of a cake, right? That's all it was. So I got out and I researched like my life depended on it because it did, and I made some miraculous change. But I don't know if you wanted to interject, have anything, before I continued on.
So what was the first change you made when you did tons of research? Did you start trying to eat healthy as soon as you got discharged? Or like what did you go back to eating before you really pivoted and like was like, okay, mindset shift, plant-based lifestyle? Like were you a meat eater when you were in the ER prior to that?
Absolutely. Meat. I mean, anything comforting, anything greasy, anything so saturated, anything, you know,
Yeah, so standard American diet.
the
So
sad
after you got
diet.
out and received that information from your doctor, that advice, say asking you to start seeing your food as medicine, like did you go out of there ready to make that change mentally, or like did you have to transition into the healthier choices? What, like how was that?
So it took some time. Okay. I was very sickly getting out, very sickly, very sickly. And I still didn't have a lot of energy. So I was getting these pre-made meals, with salmon and broccoli and things like that. And then these pamphlets and the information the nurses give you, the hospital leaves you with, the diabetic association recommendations, right? Uh, you know, eat high amounts of protein. And we'll talk about protein, hopefully, if not this episode, our next episode. But
Now, did you have a kidney issue?
that as well. Yeah, I'm blessed to be here. I can
And
see
they told you to eat a high amount of protein. See, like they give
exactly what
really bad information to people.
dialysis clinics everywhere. I had an endocrinologist. She told me to eat lean protein. We'll talk about protein, and I'm happy that you know about it. I see that you know about it. So yes. So I'm eating omelets and spinach, right? And oh yeah, Dr. Patel left me with another gem. He said, so of course, seafood is you want to start seafood as medicine, and you want to exercise, because these bodies, similar to a vehicle, a lot of things we make mimic us, right? When we exercise, it burns off fuel. Things are so a lot more simple than what we make it, right? So I took that information, and I'm, eating my regular, still standard American diet, but I'm exercising, right? Now, if you go exercise by just eating an omelet and some spinach, right? Because they're telling you to keep the carbs low and keep the protein high. You're not gonna. For me, I couldn't get very far. You know what I mean? Because I didn't have enough energy, carbohydrate energy. So, watching that documentary, Game Changers, I started picking up on these doctors' names, right? And one doctor that really, there's many, but the one that helped me was Dr. John McDougall. And rest in peace, Dr. John McDougall. He recently transitioned um, with a starch-based diet, right? That gave me enough. They tell you if you got diabetes, right? Don't eat starches, don't eat potatoes, don't eat rices. It's actually the opposite. You actually want those things. I don't know if you consume those often. You're more raw,
Yeah, I'm more
right?
high raw. I'm not like against it. I try to have the healthier option if I am eating any kind of grain. So like they say if you have like rice, wild rice is the best option. And so
Absolutely.
I'll try to have those like healthier substitutions, but I'm not perfect by any stretch. So
Absolutely. And for me, I go with the higher fiber option, brown rice if I can. So, but for me, I kind of need something with some caloric density. We could talk about caloric density another time. But yeah, I started just picking up on these doctors in that documentary. And from there, Dr. Michael Greger, nutritionfacts.org, Dr. Michael Clapper. I mean, it would take a while for me to list them all. But like I said, I started studying like my life depended on it. And the things that they said were actually, not beneficial for you, I learned the total opposite. It's just the problem is, oftentimes people's sugar will get high from eating berries and fruits and potatoes and rices because they're so gunked up with the oils, the meat fats, the cheeses, the dairies. And so what happens is it's like stop putting the plug on the sink, right? Um, and, these are water-based systems, right? And so when you gunk them up over 35, 45, 50, 60 years, that sugar can't get to where it needs to go. The insulin can't open up the cell. So, that's essentially what it is. But if you keep that saturated fat and those gunky things, for lack of a better word, out of your system, then everything will flow, the way, God and nature designed it to inside of these water-based vessels, right?
yeah, see, a lot of times, I'm glad you bring that up because a lot of times when we start our health journeys, like we know we have to change because our check engine light is on.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, your doctor tells you seafood is medicine. So now you're just trying to find the healthiest options to consume. But now you
Mhm.
have to learn and recondition and relearn what is healthy.
Yes.
So now you have to go down the rabbit hole of what's healthy, even though common sense is healthy is what is naturally grown from the earth versus what's manufactured and what is made in a, fake.
Right.
However, it's good to start making healthier choices and eliminating the things that's causing the problem. But a lot of people will go from eating a standard American diet, decide, I want to become plant based. They'll start their plant based journey, which is
Mhm.
great, but they still are housing and storing a lot of the old, the undigested waste materials from the dairy, from the meat, from the, as you put it, years and years and years, like 30 plus years of consumption of things that really don't belong inside of us.
Yeah.
So that's why cleansing is important. A lot of times we only change the diet, but we don't make a more conscious effort to get rid of what's in the gut, what's still stored inside of there. That's why it's good to do like colonics, why it's good to do like these like fruit based resets, like these fruit based like 30-day cleanses or mono cleansing or juice fasting. I know a lot of people don't necessarily believe in that. However, I genuinely believe that, of course, if it's a lifestyle and you're consistent over the course of time and you're continuing to eat nothing but whole food, plant based meals, your health is definitely going to improve because you're not
Absolutely.
putting the crap inside of it. However, I believe it's good to be like very intentional about having your cleansing periods, like cleansing the gut, doing parasite cleanses, like releasing a lot of the old stuff that's just sitting inside of us. Because it's like, yeah, you're finally able to start releasing a lot of the stuff because you're consuming more fiber and all of that. However, a lot of people will go plant based and still end up sick. But it's because they never really did a systematic cleansing of their
Mhm.
bodies. And like it is important to know what the kidneys are and their functions, what the liver is and its functions, the pancreas and its function, um, all of these, the spleen, all these different organ systems that work together. A lot of them are eliminative organ systems, your lymphatic system, your lungs, all these things that all these organ systems in the body that's exclusively designed to cleanse cellular waste from
Mhm.
your body, to cleanse the digestive waste out of your body, to cleanse it through your urine, like to cleanse it through the lungs with mucus and all of that. So it's important to understand or understand our bodies, and not only understand our bodies, but how to cleanse these different systems. And if you're going to get into like the herbs and things of that sort, knowing which herbs are good for what part of the body. And it's all trial and error. It's all things you do on your journey as you're learning and experiencing. Did you
Mhm.
ever get into the herbs or was it only just food based?
So for me, um, I can't really say too much herbs now. I will say this, with my meals, I consume, for the most part, I try and consume like I started out having leafy greens, but nowadays it's microgreens, right? So similar, not exacting, but they're extremely powerful, extremely all that chlorophyll and just massive amount of nutrients and trace minerals, as well as berries. I add those with every meal as well. For the antioxidants, anthocyanins, polyphenols, tannins. I mean, I could list all the benefits. So not so much. Or now I will have some cloves every now and then because those are very cleansing, very astringent, right? And for me, citrus, if I feel like I need to cleanse out something, citrus, some grapefruits, some oranges, very astringent. It'll really clean you till you'll really feel it.
Oh yeah, I've done an orange. I remember I did seven, no, what was it? 2 weeks? It's either seven, yeah, I think it was 7 days on all citrus. That
Now,
was intense.
I want to ask this now. It may not just be me, right? But you start to eat these foods, you start to almost have like a connection and a relationship with it. You can feel it, right? Am I right or wrong? I don't
No,
know.
you're right. It's like it's a form of life, and you're literally having an experience with it, and it's cleansing you out, and it becomes a real spiritual experience when
Absolutely.
you are consuming nothing but these high water fruits, especially if you're doing it mono eating is really interesting. Like when you're just doing one fruit at a time for an extended period of time, it's like you really develop a relationship with that food because
Really?
you can taste the some of them. There's never one fruit that tastes all exclusively the same. Some are sweeter than the other. Some is more
Yeah.
watery than the other. And it's like, it's just funny. Like even with apples, like you can sit there and eat an apple and bite into it and be like, it'll be a different experience when you are just like sticking to one fruit, but only allowing yourself to eat like that. It's better for your
Yep.
digestion system too, because it's like you're consuming something that you're making it extremely easy for your body to break down.
Hmm.
And it's almost like you've allowed your body to assimilate to the experience of this one type of food. It goes through very easily. It digests very easily. The enzymes inside of it, it's just a really simple breakdown process. And I just love how much more energy I tend to have when I do these mono fruit feasts.
Hmm.
Just the amount of cleansing, digestion is a lot better. You're using the bathroom more frequently, even
Yeah.
more so. Even if you were like already having regular bowel movements, and it's like you get like a deeper cleansing.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. You know, I'm familiar with the mono meal, and I watch mono eating as well as I observed on your Facebook page with the mono eating. I just, I'm a variety guy, but I will try it sometime. But yeah, there's so much to get into. You know, I'd like for us, of course, we won't be able to fit it all, right? So, like I told you before before this episode, I just want the audience to know, I look, I'd like for us to do this in episodes, so, because just so the world know or the audience knows, there's so much information, just think about it. I practiced wrong eating for 35 years of my life, right? So I had the wrong information for 35 years, that's a long, so just imagine all the relearning and re-educating I had to do for myself, right? So, and many people out there are in that same situation, or maybe 45 years, 55 years, 65 years, et cetera, right? But it's never too late to, make a pullback and pull back and improve, right? So, I just want to say that, so people, stick around, hang around, we could have something good, because this information, I didn't choose this. I did not choose this. I did not choose that hospital bed. I made the decisions to get there, but ultimately, this path chose me, right? And I'm speaking real as it gets. So, but yeah, let's continue on.
Understood. So one of the listeners said, did he just change his eating habits only? Was there any stress factors in his life? Which is like a solid question. This is a rabbit hole that I'm in currently, the stress factor when it
Okay.
comes to health. So I've been doing a lot of reading, a lot of literature about stress and its impact on our physical health. Like,
Certainly.
let's take food out of the equation. You can be eating the healthiest diet, but if you have high stress levels, if your body is in that constant fight or flight state, you're never getting out of that survival state. You're always in this like fear based state of existence physically, creating all of this cortisol. It really does have a really damaging effect on the blood cells, on the heart.
Hmm.
Uh, Experiences like dealing with death or things like that, dealing with grief, these have serious impact to the body when we're holding on to these emotions and we don't know how to process them correctly. We don't necessarily have the like the melatonin levels in our bodies aren't balanced enough to help create a healthy level of dopamine or serotonin to keep our grief kind of balanced. A lot of us are so chemically imbalanced because of our lifestyles that we can become even more more sensitive or susceptible to the damaging effects of high stress living. Were you experiencing any stress around the time that you got sick? Or did you, and if you were, did you reduce stress levels consciously while working on your lifestyle? Because the lifestyle improved your health, you reduce stress naturally? Like, do you have any experience with stress and it affecting your health?
So for that viewer, I want to say thank you. Excellent question. Life was very stressful for me before. Very stressful. I mean, I was a soldier, a combat soldier, in Iraq for a year, and I've worked all kind of jobs. Like I said, the oil field, very stressful, very stressful. So you combine that stress with, stress eating and eating some things that you would not want to feed your worst enemy, right? If you knew better, So very stressful, and to now, I mean, life is always going to life and bring stress and thoughts and things like that, but it's night and day, right? I have more liberty now, and not only that, but I follow some of the guidelines of Dan Buettner. He's a big advocate on the blue zones, right? You can look up Dan Buettner, the blue zones, and the blue zones are, I think, 7 to 9 places around the world where more common people are centenarians. They live to 100 more commonly. And the only one in this country is Loma Linda, California, right? And a lot of these places consume very little meat, if any, right? They also have a sense of community. They go for walks, so I work on the community part, right? My VFW, things like that. I go for walks. I try and do it almost daily. I even, for the most part, I've changed like the type of music I've listened to, to more better, happier lyrics, things like that. And the list just goes on, and you combine that with this isn't just a diet, it's a lifestyle, right? Lifestyle medicine, right? It's a total package, because you can eat right, but if you're smoking and drinking, it kind of throws the balance off. So excellent question. As far as the stress, much less stress at this point in my life, the way my life is structured, and I'm very privileged and fortunate for that. And because of that, I'm aware of that. I'd like to, get this information out and these experiences out, to help people, because I've been very, very blessed and fortunate. So yeah,
that's amazing. It's good that not only were you given this guidance, but you implemented it, because
absolutely.
a lot of times we know better, but we really struggle to do better. And I'm not saying doing better like in the most perfect way, but just like doing better with consistency.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it takes a heightened level of love for self in order to start and maintain. And I genuinely believe that there is a correlation not only with addiction involved, but between like self-hate and damaging ourselves, harming ourselves with certain things that we put into our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
With the food like products that we put into our bodies, that we know have detrimental effects to our health, when we're consuming high amounts of alcohol, when we're smoking cigarettes, or even just smoking anything, really putting any kind of combustible in your lungs is not good for you.
Absolutely.
So I won't say, I don't want to speak in absolutes. I don't think that's the case for everybody, but I do believe that there is a certain level of just like a lack of love for self when you know better and you don't even try to do better.
Absolutely.
I get that there's a learning curve. I get that you are struggling with addiction. There's the addiction component. I get that. But at what point are we just hiding behind that as excuses? Right? So implementation is important, and implementation on a consistency level is important, and it's not a perfection level. Like if you want to have your unfavorable, guilty, pleasurable foods, maybe a month or once or twice in a month or something, I believe that's true moderation. Like, people like to act like moderation is 50% of the bad and 50% of the good. Like, they make it seem like that's the balance, but that's literally setting yourself up to constantly be chasing zero. Like, you're always just trying to be at zero. There's no elevation. There's no evolution. There's no level 1, level 2, level 3. You're never graduating and getting better when you're doing something good for yourself and then canceling it out completely on a balance. So, you know, we have to redefine what moderation is. I think moderation is about 80% of doing what you know is best for you and making room, you know, 20% of the time for those imperfect moments, if that is what's important for us mental health wise. Because I do understand that we have emotional connections to a lot of the ways that we used to eat. There's a lot of nostalgic things that we grew up on, family tradition, and just whatever, right? No one, you know, we're not here forever. Nobody's saying to be a robot. You have to perfectly, but I do believe consistency is important. And that's all you could ever really ask of someone, is to just be better. You know, the betterism, just chase being better in life. What was I gonna say? So how is it, like, what do you eat in a day now?
So what I eat in a day now, there's many examples, but I'll give you a few examples. So like I said, I combine a few things, and these things, you know, they show up well in my blood labs, you know, as well as, you know, skin's more youthful. Now, the youthful part of the skin has been more with the fruits. But to answer your question, I center my diet around a starch-based diet, right? So I'll either have potatoes, rice, sweet potatoes, whole grain breads. You know, if I can't get, you know, then I'll go for whatever. If I'm out somewhere, I can't, then if I'm at Subway, then I got whatever bread they got, right? But it'll be a veggie sub. You know, what other starches? You know, quinoa, lentils, beans. You know, then, and there are others. You know, even a pizza, right? But without the minus the cheese. You know, with the veggies and the sauce. Tortillas, right? Then I'll have something cruciferous, right? So red cabbage is a big favorite of mine, you know, with that purple, the blues, the anthocyanins. So every color has a different function, and we'll get into that at some point. You know, these things are like people working in your body. I know it sounds crazy, but she's no, am I telling the truth here? The colors have different functions. I promise you. So I go for something cruciferous, sometimes multiple cruciferous. So I like a red cabbage quite often. I'll always usually have my microgreens. Like I said, some lentils, some beans. You know, I like the sauce and flavor of my stuff. Of course, you want to enjoy your stuff. There could be, you know, carrots, a variation of things. Sometimes fried rice with you know, veggies. Sometimes tofu. But then I'll also always have some berries, you know, to clear out those free radicals and the oxidative stress, because just about everything we do in this throughout the day, you know, creates free radicals and oxidative stress. You know, whether we're going for a walk or going for a run, which creates lots of oxidative stress and free radicals. You know, you want to clear that out, you know, because I like to call it rust, right? For lack of a better word, rust, right? Everything in nature rusts. My car, it's a nice, beautiful car right now, but in 100 years, it's going to be a sheet of rust, metal, right? So this is organic material as well in the environment. So it's going to go through things, it's going to rust. So you want to keep those antioxidants in there. You know, everything I eat, there's a purpose for it. You know, this to, you know, combat this. And one of the things I also follow is Dr. Greger, which I don't necessarily have to follow it anymore because I'm kind of automatic on a lot of things. But one of the things that I recommend, I can't recommend, but, you know, I'll say one of the things I follow is Dr. Greger's Daily Dozen, right? So you can get the app or you can just Google it, the Daily Dozen. And, you know, there's a lot of great information on there. You know, I eat something similar. So starch, cruciferous, beans, you know, I try not to miss anything. You know,
okay, so you just have like what they would call a more balanced whole food plant-based diet.
Yes.
A lot of the people that I bring on in this space come from, you know, they're all whole food plant based, or they're raw vegans, or they're fruitarians. Everybody's got their own unique lifestyle that they follow that has helped create health transformations for them. And I like that we have thrown your experience into the factor, because sorry, the
It's
phone
all
and everything ringing. I love that you have the whole food plan, that you have like the beans, the lentils, the tofu, like, because these are words you're not going to hear a lot in the space that I'm in, the raw vegan space, the fruitarian space, because they consider a lot of that as junk. They consider it not good for the human body. They consider it to be mucus forming and congestion, and would consider it to be a good transition food more than anything. And that's not what I'm calling it, because I actually am one of those people that say I have watched people have serious health transformations and reverse serious health issues by eating this way, by eating beans, eating lentils, eating cooked food in general, because, you know, there's a lot of these like really strong beliefs and these dogmatic beliefs of the one true way that you're supposed to live and you're supposed to eat. And I don't believe in that. I believe that our bodies are so much more complex than even just our biological makeup. You have to consider in mental health. How happy is a person? How are their stress levels? Do they have community? Are they active? Are they moving their body? Do they have good quality relationships with people? Do they have a sense of life purpose? Do they have hobbies? Are there things that they look forward to? These are all factors that contribute to overall good health and a holistic way of existing. So it's not only just what you eat, okay? And there's a whole bunch of other things, because there are people who eat very perfectly, but they don't have balance and a lot of other things. They don't have good quality relationships. They've isolated themselves away from everybody because they can't be around certain things, because they don't either want to be triggered or they're going to judge the people that they're around, because those people don't live in alignment with how they see life. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I do believe that you can take that too far, to where like now, okay, so good luck finding the like-minded people who are like in your vicinity, you know, like in your area. Because like, yeah, we can find that community online. That's easy to find online. But what about when you have to log off and you want human to human interaction? Are you going to isolate yourself from the world because they're not a raw vegan? Or because, you know, like, it's just, so I do believe that it's not, there are people who have reversed serious health issues like atherosclerosis and avoided heart surgery simply by converting to whole food plant-based cooked meals. Not raw veganism, not fruitarianism. Like, yes, that is one way that you can do it. You can do it through juice fasting. You can do it through water fasting. The body is so intelligent that we can think our way into good health, according to Dr. Joe Dispenza and his scientific studies. And so it's just, I just don't believe there's a monolithic way of healing. You know, so I don't believe how you eat is wrong, even though there will be people who watch this who will disagree with me, because they're going to say, well, that's not good for the body. That is bad for the kidneys. And that maybe, but it's helping many others.
So I'm with you. So like, you know, and you know, everyone's entitled to, I'm with you 100%, you know, so for the people that, you know, may feel different, which is totally fine, but, you know, my labs show different, you know, my EGFR, which is what the estimated granulation filter rate, you know, I mean, it was terrible when, during my health scare, right? EGFR, you know, that'll tell whether you're headed to dialysis or not, right? And it wasn't looking too good for me. My EGFR is above 60 now. You know what I'm saying? Your labs will tell the story. You can look at how I look, you know, you know, so as well, you know, the skin will tell a story. Like you said, the body's intelligent. It ain't going to lie. You know what I'm saying? The skin will tell the story.
You're vibrant. You have clear skin. You've got shiny hair, nice, clean, white teeth, white eyes. You don't look doesn't look like the beans and all of that is hurting you too bad. Especially
not at all.
Coming from a hospital bed where you were literally dying and in the ICU. So
there, you know, there's so much, I agree with you. There's so much to this science, right? Because it's the science of nutrigenomics, right? there's just so much to it. Where did I want to get at with that? Oh, so yeah, even the level of angstroms, right? Because when and another thing is, if I do happen to have like some broccolini, baby broccoli, I won't, cook it till it's transparent. You know, I'll steam it, where it still maintains the nutrients, you know, and where it still has some sulforaphane in there. So you got the benefits, you want to seafood as medicine, right? Because that really is medicine. The doctors took that Hippocratic oath, right? The Hippocratic oath is named after Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine. And what was his quote? Let medicine be let medicine be thy food and food be thy medicine, or so. So, but also, onto the raw stuff. Raw is excellent, I will say, because I've even done some research into the amount of angstroms. I don't know. You familiar with the angstroms?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know if I went too far off the rails on that one, but
No, I know what angstroms are. I know it's like more so the
yeah,
electromagnetic energy around a food or just
yes,
around anything, the energy around.
within.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so when you consume that, uh, when you consume that, that blueberry, it's standing out in that bush. It wants to protect itself and to preserve itself for as long as it can. It has energy as well as different antioxidants, right? When you consume that, you gain those properties, right? It's just amazing stuff, really simple stuff. But like I said, the skin. I get really annoyed by people when they say, "Oh, you're 38 years." I'm a really humble guy, but they say, "Oh, you're 38. I didn't know." You must have a what skin routine do you have? And it just gets. I have no skin, absolutely no skin routine. I'm a straight guy, just chilling, eating berries and microgreens. So a lot of this is input output as well. Um, yeah, there may be lectins in beans, but when you cook them out or so, that fades away. But those berries and those microgreens are going to cover down on you. It's going to get rid of any, if anything tries to build up from the toxins in the environment to whatever. So, like you said, there's no one way to do this.
No. Are you active? Do you exercise?
Yes. I go for walks. I try and at least 3, 4, or 5 times a week. Now, there are times where I'll get in a slump. I'm human, right? This ain't Mr. Perfect over here. There are times where I get in a slump. However, overall, I go for walks and at least 30 to 45 minutes, sometimes more, and try and get as much sun as well, because that is also a big factor in our health. They tell you to stay out of the sun now, I mean, I ain't telling nobody what to do, but
I mean, the sun is the life giver
yeah, absolutely.
of our solar system, or it is the solar system, so to speak. So
Absolutely.
it's very important. The food that we eat relies on the sun. Everything relies on the sun. So we're
Absolutely.
all electromagnetic beings. That
Absolutely.
big ball of sunlight is an electromagnetic ball of light, so it's just like the whole universe it's like they say nothing new under the sun, because like the
Absolutely.
sun really charges it all up, um,
Absolutely.
with the grace of God. So I don't know. We're approaching the hour mark, not too long from now. Is there any lasting words that you want to leave the audience with? Do you have any things going on? Has this lifestyle impacted you in a way where you've gotten into any official role of helping others, or how can people find you?
So yeah, you can find me on Facebook through my name, Darrell Thompson. Probably shouldn't be too many of them. And the picture would be similar, to what I look like now. So pretty easy to find there. How has this impacted me in my life? So, like I said, I'm extremely knowledgeable in this. This kind of chose me. It really did. So I'm extremely knowledgeable. I learned this stuff like my life depended on it, because it did. And when you're backed into a corner, the human being wants to survive, right? So to do oftentimes what it takes, it's intelligence, survival, self-preservation. And so because of that, I'm extremely knowledgeable, right? But kind of the wall that I run into is, motivation, right? Because it works fine for me. I don't have to really put in much effort. I'm on autopilot with it. But I will say, this interview, I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful that you had me here because it lit a spark under me, right? That I think I needed, because this is a time where many people want to seek this information out, right? Where they need it, because their life may depend on it. And it gives us, not just me, but it gives us an opportunity to leave a positive ripple effect out there in the world, right? That positive ripple effect bounce out and it comes back. So, I just want to say, I feel like this is a good start, and as long as you're willing to have me on here, I'll be here, maybe eventually I'll have my own, but I like the way this has flowed, and I'd like to share more so that people could be successful in their journey, in their path, and their health path. Because I've learned in a hospital bed, health is all you have. You don't have a BMW. If the doctor start chopping off feet, what you going to do with that BMW? What you going to do with that man? You can't get upstairs in that mansion if the doctor start chopping off stuff as well, or if worse, if you pass away. So, I've learned that health, we take more care of our vehicles and our pets than we do our own vessels. So, I'd love to get this information out there and help people. So that's what I have.
Awesome. Yeah. So uh you definitely have a platform to create. I encourage you to go live more on your personal Facebook
Okay.
page and just share the knowledge that you have and everything that you've learned. And I want to see if I can interject
Mhm.
a photo here of you before we head out, just so
Oh
people
yeah.
can see
Yeah.
exactly what this lifestyle. Wait,
I have taught it a couple times at this veteran organization, and I have PowerPoint presentations. I taught it early in the early stages, but I've learned so much more since then. And I mean, just I look back on that stuff and like I got some good stuff, to teach people, because we're taught so much wrong, so much wrong, for profit. If I'm being honest, you know.
yeah, I don't know. I've got to learn how to use this.
Oh, I'm patient. If it were, it's for profit. I love my doctor, right now, but when I reversed my, at one point I had reversed my A1C in this beginning stages, 3 months after the hospital. It takes 3 months to reverse it. I went from a 16 to a 6. That's probably like unheard of, right? My doctor said, he said he had to keep looking at the computer screen. He said, I've never seen nothing like it. He couldn't believe it. He said, you need to write a book, So those were the positive things he said, right? But the one thing that really upset me that he said was, he said, well, um, we don't teach how to cure it. We teach how to manage, I know you're busy. I don't know if you heard what I said, but,
No, I'm listening. I'm
you
just
know,
really trying to figure out how I can.
yeah.
I got to learn this program.
So they don't teach the cures out there. They teach how to manage, And like I said, I respect my doctor, but, if something can be cured or reversed or gotten rid of, for the sake of the betterment of a human being or humanity in general, then get rid of it so they could have a better quality of life and quantity, but they teach how to manage, right? Which is, you know, profitable in the long run, There's a big pharma, not a big broccoli, I don't want I don't want nobody knocking at my door.
Not big broccoli. I know, right?
Yeah,
Seriously.
big berry or, so, but yeah.
Yeah, I can't. I don't know. I've got to learn how to insert photos into.
Oh, you're looking for that before and after pic
Yeah,
that I
but
sent you?
um,
Maybe, well, it says edit audio avatar. Well, of course I wouldn't have the
it's all
options.
good. It's all good. But yeah, I just wanted them to see the before and after. Really beautiful transformation. Really appreciate your energy here, listening to your story, uh, and just your encouragement in general. A lot of people, a lot of Black men need to see more Black men in this space, sharing their transformation stories, because a lot of Black men are afraid of going plant-based. You know, a lot of them think that, not even just Black men, men in general will equate eating meat to manhood. You know, like, you're not manly enough if you're not eating a steak, if you're not slapping down ribs, if you're not on the grill, you know, cooking the animals. And it's like, or grilling the animals. And it's just like, no, there's some, like you said, game changers. Wasn't that about bodybuilders and
Yeah,
stuff?
absolutely. And I just want to add to what you said real quick. I won't be long. So you know, like you said, a lot of men have that comparison to, you know, eating a steak makes you manly, but actually when you're consuming that steak, you're consuming estrogen, right? So, you know, the masculine meat eater is consuming more estrogen than a plant, you know, based eating male, you know, and Game Changers talks about some of that as well. So, you know, I mean, we've been told a lot of untruths, you know.
For sure. But thank you so much, Darrell. I appreciate you. We'll definitely have you back on in the future.
Certainly.
And everybody who would like to go and follow him, he is Darrell Thompson on Facebook, and it's spelled exactly as it is right now. He's got, you know, he likes to share a lot of the food that he's eating. And in general, it's just nice to be connected with people like this in this space, being around like minds. And we can wrap up this segment here. Thank you so much. I'll be back again next week with another guest. And, you know, the show will go on. We're always going to come here, bring you the best content, telling you that, you know, just get better at getting better. We're not here seeking perfection. We're here just getting started and learning how to put the best things inside of us. So we're going to constantly be bringing the people on who are living lifestyles and changing their life in a varying of different ways, whether it's through mental health, through mindset, through spirituality, through food, through all of the above. Okay? Love you guys so much.
Thank you for having me.
Love you guys. Bye.